What's going on, everybody? This is the Board Certified Gaming Podcast, the video game podcast that you don't want to miss. Take first, something actually worth listening to. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. We love all you guys listening to us. So today, it's just me again, Andy. I know I said Amar would be back. I also said he might be back. So don't hold that to me too much because things happen. He'll be back hopefully soon, hopefully on the next episode. These weeks have been kind of crazy and it will only get crazier. Next week, I'm actually out of town, so we're going to try to figure out if we can get one in before then, or you might have to wait 2 weeks. That's just how it happens. But we appreciate it if you guys are the ones that are clamoring for a new episode. Like, we want more stuff. We know you want us in your ears. We get that. So we're going to try to figure that out and provide more stuff for you guys, or just keep tweeting and stuff in the meantime. Today, I am going to talk to you about the Nintendo Switch. It's been about 1.5 years since mine arrived, since I got one. It's been out for a little bit longer than that, but I'm just saying I've had mine since September of 2018, so almost 1.5 years to the, about end of August, so almost 1.5 years. So I've got some thoughts about it, meaning I love it, and I'm going to tell you how much I love it, kind of give my story about it and how I came to where I am now. And maybe persuade you to get one, maybe, if you're still on the fence or still thinking about it. You're like, I don't know, maybe sell me on it. I'll let you decide for yourself, but I'll give my story so maybe you'll change your mind or it'll further reinforce that. Before we get into that, make sure to check out the Twitter at BCG Podcast, the Instagram at Board Certified Gaming Podcast, and our Patreon, patreon.com/BCG Podcast. We appreciate you guys following the Twitter because that's where we can talk to you guys and provide up-to-date stuff and updates so you guys know what's going on and we can communicate with you and always be as transparent as possible. So follow the Twitter at BCG Podcast. We'd appreciate it. All right, I'm going to get into it. So, my story with Nintendo. When I was a kid, I loved Nintendo stuff. That was me. My brother had the PlayStation 1, older brother, that was his console. I was like, I'm not going to touch that. That's his. It's if you have brothers or sisters, you realize that my stuff is my stuff, their stuff is their stuff. There's not much overlap. You can't really just go play with their stuff all the time. So I had the Nintendo stuff, he had everything else. So the N64, the Super Nintendo, the NES, GameCube, those were mine. And I just was in love with Nintendo. Could do no wrong in my eyes. The games were perfect. They were awesome. I was playing 007 GoldenEye, Mario Kart, Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, all these other great N64 games, and all the games that are basically classics now that are synonymous with these systems. And I was having the time of my life. But then there's always that point in people's lives, and it just coincided with, new consoles coming out. But around the time when the Xbox 360, the PS2, PS3, like when the systems got a little bit more advanced, a little bit more capable, was the same kind of time that I wasn't able to just, okay, I got my console, I got 4 controllers, I'm going to have all my friends over almost every other day, or something like that, or every weekend we're going to have sleepovers, everybody's going to come over and we're just going to play these games all night. You can't really do that you can't really do that after a certain point. So it was like middle school to high school, like that kind of age where it's like, you know what? People have responsibilities, they have part-time jobs, they have girlfriends, they have other things that they're doing, extracurricular activities like after school sports and stuff. I did as well. I had football practice and had all these other things going on. So it's like I couldn't just hang out with my friends all day. Like, just come on over and we'll play. I got the controllers hooked up. Let's play. That's not what could really happen anymore. It wasn't as convenient. So now, online was more prioritized. It was a way to have that same experience of playing with your friends, but not have to be in the same room. You could do it from home. You can do it whenever it was easiest for you. So that kind of was the switch. It was, all right, now I can get the Xbox 360 or PS3, PS2, whatever, play online with my friends and not have to miss out on what they're doing or what they're feeling or joke around with them and other stuff like that from the comfort of my own home without having to go anywhere, worry about who's available and what everybody's doing. So it worked. Then I kind of had a falling out with Nintendo because Nintendo didn't really have a system with that kind of capability. And everybody I knew was playing an Xbox 360. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to play Xbox 360. I'm going to get one. And then I kind of fell in love with that. There was just so many good games for that. Call of Duty 4, Fallout 3, like all these great games that I was playing. And I'm like, I didn't miss Nintendo at all. I grew up on that stuff, but at a certain point, it was like, what have you done for me lately? Kind of. Nintendo had been kind of resting on their laurels that people are just going to love Nintendo and want to play new Mario stuff and want to keep hanging on to those systems until a couple years later when a new one came out. And then they were kind of going into that handheld system too. They're like, you're going to love these handhelds. I had Game Boys. I had all those. I had even a Game Boy Micro. But at a certain point, it wasn't satisfying me enough. That sounds weird, but it wasn't as appealing as a console was because the console had more graphic capabilities. It allowed for better stories, for different gameplay, all kinds of stuff. And the handheld, those games are kind of, you can take the same games, but you can kind of water them down to make handheld versions. That's kind of what happened. It's whatever you would find a game that you liked on the console, but you found it on a handheld version, it would be kind of watered down. So it'd be kind of diluted and not as fulfilling. So I got the Xbox 360, was playing with my friends, having a great time because that's all I could do is, well, I had some time to play after school. My friends were off doing whatever. When I got home from practice, my friends would be online and I could see that and I'd play with them, play all these fun games with them. And my Nintendo systems were collecting dust. And then I got the Wii and it just didn't really do anything. It was kind of like a party trick. Like, oh, you're going to want to play this with other people when they're in the room. But other than that, it's not really that. I love the Wii and it was a great idea, but it just didn't do for me what I thought it was going to or what consoles could do other than the Wii. So like with traditional boxes, the Wii had these motion controllers and it was like, let's get you doing all this kinds of stuff to play the games that you've loved. But it was a certain point, I'm like, I don't want to have to play Madden with like actually like running the controllers or have to play shooters like aiming my arms to shoot. It's cool, but at a certain point, it was kind of like a gimmick that is not very satisfying or not very fun long term. It's just like playing VR and that's all you play. So I kind of went back to Xbox again. And I was like, you know what? I'm still on Xbox. And there was the Wii U. There was all these other DS systems that came out. And I'm like, you know what, Nintendo, you're just not doing what I want you to do right now. So eventually, the Xbox One and the PS4 came out. Still haven't really thought about Nintendo that much. So I got a PS4. I switched over. And I'm like, you know what? PS4 is my shit now. A lot of fun games. Great system. Cheaper. I could have, get this as a Christmas gift. And it was fantastic. And all my time was spent on that. I still had the online capability so I could play with my friends who also had PS4. Amar had a PS4 at the time. And him and I were just playing together, having a blast. We were getting trophies. We were doing all this other stuff. And then I eventually got an Xbox One. And I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm used to. I'm used to playing these consoles and them coming out new games. All right, I'm playing them, beating them, playing with my friends. But then the Nintendo Switch came out, or was announced. We'll say that it was announced, and it was, here's this new idea from Nintendo. And I'm like, okay, I still didn't give it much of a thought, just because it's like Nintendo has been this ugly stepson in my mind that I'm like, yeah, but they're just always going to be over there. They're not to where the Xbox and the PS4 are right now. So I'm not even going to bother. It's probably going to be some weird gimmicky thing that I'm not going to enjoy that is for kids or is for people who have kids and want to play games with them, or people who are always entertaining and want to have fun with the, double dates or whoever they bring over. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Not even thinking about it. So I didn't really understand even what the Switch was early on. But then Amar got one. like right away. He's like, as soon as it comes out, I'm getting it. He went to multiple stores, picked it up, paid for it, and was like, absolutely, I'm getting it, because everybody was pumped about Legend of Zelda. That game was apparently going to be the next big thing, and everybody loved it. And they were right. This was the game that kind of made the Switch what it was right away. And obviously there was Mario Kart, but it was the Mario Kart from previous consoles. And there were a couple other games that were like, all right, Super Mario Odyssey came out for it, and all these other great games started flooding out for the Switch. And I hadn't even gotten it yet. I was like, nah, I'm still not sold. And then Amar told me, it's very good. Get one. You're going to love it. Just trust me on it. And I was like, okay. And this was after my birthday, 2018. I got it. I was like, you know what? I had the money. I'm going to see what the hype is about. I'm going to get it. But the one thing that sold me on it, and this is very lame and stupid, but I've always wanted to play video games in bed or on the go or being mobile, not tied to, I have to sit on a chair and play at a TV. If I want to go play with my friends, I got to haul all of this crap with me in a bag and take it to them and set it all up and do all this other crap. The Switch kind of was like, you know what? I'm ready to take this. If I'm going somewhere, I can plug it in, or I can take it out, put it in a bag. It's not that big. And then I can just take it along. It's not that cumbersome. And if I want to play with my friends, it's got online connectivity. So I'm just going wherever I want to go. That really sold me because it coincided really with law school for me. I just graduated law school in May of this past year. And in the middle of law school, so 2018, when I was getting it, I was like, you know what? What's going to happen when I'm an attorney and I got to fly everywhere? I got to go on road trips, or I got to sit in hotels, or go to these business meetings or something, or even if I'm sitting at a desk and I've got nothing to do and I'm on a break or something, or I'm taking a lunch. And then I'm like, well, a Switch would actually be kind of cool then, because then I could play games on the go or just at my desk or whenever, just pull it up and play it. And then if I want to continue the game when I get home, just throw it on the dock in the TV that I'm going to have. Like that really appealed to me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. This is kind of not an investment, but this is a move for the future, because I can see myself really using this later on in life when I'm like, I got stuff to do, but I only have like half an hour and I'm not near my TV, but I can play this game on the road, in a plane, in the bathroom even. Like there have been times I've taken my Switch into the bathroom and played, and it's been amazing. I don't have to look on my phone, read a magazine, or read shampoo bottles or something. I can just play my Switch, and it's been great. The one thing that I'm really glad I did, or the one reason I'm very glad that I waited, is because now there are more games out to justify that. There were a lot more games out that I'm like, you know what? This is super worth it, because in the real early days of getting a console, like a new one, not all the games that are out are the ones that are going to be the best games of the year. There might be one that's like really, really good, like Breath of the Wild. But usually it's developers and publishers aren't going to put out all their best games for the new system right away, because then they're going to all compete. And then people are already forking over hundreds of dollars for this new system. They're maybe only going to get one game, if that, because it's like, all right, another $60 onto the $500 I'm already spending. Like, that's a lot. So then they probably wait till the holidays, because usually consoles come out in the fall-ish area. So they're like, just wait till the holidays come out, or wait till March of the next year, in spring of next year, when people are going to want to buy these games. Because we have to make games for this 5, 6, 7 year cycle of the consoles. We're not going to just blow our load right now and have everybody just buy our one game that we've made and then do nothing for the next 5 years while this system is still out. That's just not going to happen. So they're just like, you know what? We got to pace it and make sure that we release this at a right time. So I bought the Switch at a really good time. There were already a good amount of games out that I'm like, you know what? This just makes tons of sense. And it was further reinforced that I made a good decision when I heard about more of the games that are coming out, which is kind of blowing my mind a little bit here. Previously, Nintendo games were kind of pigeonholed a little bit. They're like, it's Mario games, it's family friendly stuff, it's kind of cartoony, it's kind of, they are their own little, they have their niche, they have their one little kind of game styles that they like. But the Switch is like, okay, people like Skyrim, Skyrim's on the Switch. People like Doom, Doom's on the Switch. People like Witcher 3, Witcher 3's on the Switch. Diablo 3, Overwatch, like all these games that are like really big games and really fun, that it's like, wait a minute. So you're telling me I could play Diablo 3 like on the road, on the go. Like that's a game that's perfect for that. Or I can play Skyrim on this small console in bed. Like that just sounds amazing. When traditionally other Nintendo consoles are like, yeah, we have games just built for this system, but we're not getting kind of the big games. We're not getting these huge titles that everybody's playing on PlayStation or Xbox. We're getting just our own games. But now it's like these games that are coming out on all these systems eventually come out on Switch a couple months afterwards, once they figure out how to make it work. So I'm truly impressed at what Nintendo is doing. They're kind of evolving, and it is no surprise that the Switch is doing so well, that it's succeeding and that people are buying a ton of it, a ton of systems, and the games are doing very well, and that there's a lot of interesting, unique games that they can make with not only the Joy-Cons on, but the Joy-Cons off. So there are a lot of games that you can play docked with the Joy-Cons doing stuff like motion tracking, but it's not the sole reason that you're using the thing. It's not, that's all you do. That's all you can do. Like the Wii. The Wii was, that's all you got. You can have the two remotes and you got to do motion stuff no matter what you're doing. This one's like, if you want to, fine. If not, you can just attach them and play it like a regular system, which the Wii U kind of was, but that was like, it felt like a test run for the Switch. So eventually when the Switch came out, they're like, you know what? We hit something. I think we got it. Let's build on it. People are liking it. Let's get more titles. Let's get our own online subscription service with some benefits for it. Let's really overhaul this thing and make it so people can buy this and make it be like the traditional boxes that they have, but something that can also take to a friend's house and play, or take to work and play, or take to school and play, hopefully between classes, not in the middle of class. But like it's been filling a need and gave me something that these consoles haven't had for a long time. Just like these consoles gave me something that Nintendo hadn't when I first switched. So it's kind of, pun intended, it's made me switch over to Nintendo, being like, all right, you've kind of changed my perception of you, and it's now a better one. I still play the PS4, I still play the Xbox One, just because they both have their things that they do well and the games that they have and the ability to that my friends play on it as well. But the Switch is doing something that I am enjoying, and I didn't know I wanted it until I got it. And then it's the one thing that I'm like, man, I'm really glad that I have this, even though I didn't really know what I was getting into. And I'm super glad I got it. They're only improving it from here. The one thing that I am going to be a little bit mad about, I guess, is that they're always improving the Switch in terms of physical capabilities and like processor, battery, screen, all that other stuff. Whereas mine is the original one. They've kind of retrofitted it and made it better and made better processors and batteries, but they're not releasing a Switch Pro. So I'm kind of stuck with this, but people have better Switch. It's not like the battery life is bad or the processor is bad. It's just now there are ones where if you buy any Switch anywhere, it's going to be a better one. But the one I have is just not as great. Even so, I'm stuck with that until I trade it in and buy another one, or just get a Switch Lite or something like that. It's nitpicking, but at a certain point, I'm not having a problem with it. It's just now I know there's a better one. But there'll always be. I mean, there's always going to be the next system that's either a Slim or a Pro or something that has, or maybe a 4K Switch or something like that. There's going to be that. So either you buy another one or you just enjoy the one you have, which I am thoroughly enjoying it. And I think if you enjoy handheld games, then you should absolutely get the Switch. If you miss the PS Vita, or if you are a DS, primarily a 3DS person, I think you're going to enjoy the Switch if you don't already have one. If you're a traditional console gamer, I think you'll also appreciate it because you'll be like, all right, you mean I can play the games that I already am playing or that I did play and that I enjoyed, but in a different kind of context. Like I can play them on the road, or I can play them on a plane, or I can go to my friend's house easily without having to carry all my shit and we can play together, or we can connect two Switches together and play games across both screens. I mean, that's insanity that happens. And it's more of a system that you can introduce gaming to people. My girlfriend is not a gamer at all, but once I gave her the Switch, it was kind of an easier transition for her. She used my Switch and was like, you know what? I can actually figure this out. It's not super confusing. She got interested in that Ring Fit thing where you can exercise using the Switch. She's like, I mean, that seems like something I'd get into. I could do that. The Switch isn't intimidating really at all. It's just two controllers that kind of have motion that you can figure out. It's not super complicated. It's not big and bulky like the Wii was, or it's not a giant remote console like the Wii U was. It's a lot more compact. It's a lot more efficient. It's a lot more easier to understand, to where if you want to get someone into gaming, there are a lot of games out there that aren't really that complicated. Don't have Doom be your first game, or don't have Overwatch, or you could, but I'm saying don't have these super complex games like The Witcher and stuff like that people are playing. You can start them off with something easier. Like the Switch still has those games. Nintendo still makes those very easy to comprehend, those very cartoony, family-friendly games and party games and stuff like that. But they also are now having those intense, in-depth games that are like, this is a lot to take in. This is a big RPG that's super popular that everybody is playing, and there's a ton of stuff to do. So I think it's a really good intro into gaming, and especially if it's just the equal to a console. If you're not losing anything picture-wise, if none of the games are diluted by any, like, well, now it's a different story, now it's different gameplay. It's the same games. It's just smaller on a screen and handheld. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I think everyone else will. I'm excited to see what the Switch does from now on, meaning that I want to know what they're doing next. I wonder what the next move is. Yes, Nintendo is very weird with their moves, meaning that they go, all right, Wii, Switch, a GameCube, a Nintendo 64. Like it's never, okay, here's the next PlayStation or here's the next Xbox. It's just, well, what the hell is Nintendo going to come out with now? I have no idea. They might kind of roll with the Switch for a little bit and say, all right, maybe Switch 2 or something akin to the Switch, like the same kind of mechanics, but just different. Or they might scrap it entirely and go something completely different and like, well, here's a different kind of box that does a different kind of thing. But I think Nintendo is making huge strides in what they're trying to do in terms of compete. The Switch sold a lot, and a lot of consoles, a lot of games, so they're definitely competing against the big ones, the Xbox One and the PS4. With the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X coming out, it'll be interesting to see if the Switch still holds up, because they're in between cycles. So they're like, after the Switch has been out for a few years, there's going to be a lull, meaning these new consoles are going to come out, taking everybody's attention, and then the Switch is going to be like, hey, remember us? We're still here. Like, we're not going away, but it's not like we're coming out with anything really new, which is why maybe a Switch Pro or a 4K Switch, or because the Switch Lite came out super early compared to how much a console comes out, and then, like a PS5 Pro is probably going to come out in like 5 years or something, like 4 or 5 years, something like that. So it's just pretty interesting to see the Switch Lite come out like a year and a half or so late after the Switch came out. So I enjoy Nintendo. I hope you do as well. I don't know if this convinced you to get one, or if you're just, nope, none of that sounded interesting. If I was on the fence, I'm now on this side of not getting one. Or if it did, that's awesome. You know, I don't regret a single thing buying a Switch. You could probably get it cheaper now. You could probably get a bundle now. You can get more accessories, or there's more stuff to do with it. You can probably get an improved Switch. So if you buy one now, you're going to have a better Switch than I do. Or you can buy the Switch Lite. If the docking feature doesn't really mean much to you, the Switch Lite is literally a Joy-Con smaller. We have an episode about that That's our first episode actually about the Switch Lite. So they're hitting a lot of good notes. Nintendo is, and I'm very happy for that because this puts me back in my childhood. I can play all these games that I've played as a kid. Speaking of, they have a lot of emulators now that they're coming out with. They had the NES, they had the Super Nintendo, they might have N64 or GameCube emulators coming. And I'm like, so you're telling me that if I subscribe to this system or this service, I can have some of the games I grew up playing as a kid on the Switch and play those like wherever. Like, that's amazing. And if they eventually get to Nintendo 64 or GameCube emulators, I'm done. I'm going to be playing that all day, and I could probably play with my friends. Like, it's going to be insanity. The way they're making all the right moves, and they deserve all kinds of respect and success. I mean, I can't even talk. That's how much I'm impressed by them. So I believe that this is a good move all good moves for them. I want to know where they go from here, if they kind of ride with this wave a little bit, or if they're like, all right, we gained the people's trust with kind of a risk, so maybe let's take another one with our next system or our next moves. So we'll see. Nintendo, I am willing to see what you're up against and what you're going to be doing. I love what you're doing. This has been an ode to the Switch. I am enjoying it. If you haven't had one, go try somebody's. There's probably kiosks set up at every kind of video game store you can imagine. Go try one. If you have no idea what it's going to be like, borrow it, maybe try one, see if you like it. It's a lot. It's not your typical Nintendo system. It's not, if you grew up like me with the old Nintendo systems, it's kind of completely different from all of them, but still has that same feel to it. So I'm super happy, and I can't wait to go play it more. I can't wait to have Animal Crossing come out. I can't wait to have Doom come out for it. Like, all these other games are going to come out for it, and I'm like, you know what? Bring it on. And play Animal Crossing till I can't anymore. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm ready. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. I know it was a quick one, but Amar will hopefully be back soon. We're going to try to get another one in. Like I said before, I am out of town. And yeah. Follow the Twitter at BCG Podcast. Check out the Instagram at Board Certified Gaming Podcast. And consider giving to our Patreon, patreon.com/BCG Podcast. We appreciate all the likes, the follows, the subscriptions, the comments, reviews, ratings, all of that stuff, all that jazz. We appreciate all of it. And thank you guys for listening to this. We still are blown away that anybody will listen to this, period. So thank you. I'll see you guys next week or whenever we get a next episode in. I'm not going to commit to anything, but we're going to try to get it out as soon as we can. We'll see you next time. That's better. Have a good one.